Okay, so again, in the week of 17 to 21 January 2022, much was being said about digital modes and all the rest of it. And I know that some people really have difficulty understanding what actually happens with regards to the digital modes. And again, everything seems to just get grouped together in one pot. And I feel that this needs to be rectified. So the very first thing that we need to do is understand what a digital mode is. If you take a look at some of the older radios where CW, RTTY, etc., as part of the digital mode concept, the radio is capable of carrying out certain tasks and going into a transmit mode and then sending out that particular, let's call it method of the message, not the actual message, but just how the message is in actual fact transmitted over the air. There is no computer, there's nothing else involved in this at all. However, when we start looking at what happens when we incorporate or include a PC in the mix, what we really and truly need to understand is, number one, regardless of what program or application you might be using on your PC, like Ham Radio Deluxe, the ICOM management software for the 7100, or Echolink, or FT8, Whisper, what's that other one, JTSX, whatever it is. Not one of those applications transmits anything at all. At all. What the computer does is it will take, utilizing its relevant software application, and whatever the intent is, like FT8, for example, it will convert the message into a digital, audible sound, for a better word. Let's work on the word sound, because the spoken voice is one method of sound. And I firmly believe that every single person who listens to this video will know and understand the sound that the old 56K modems used to make when it dialed up, and through the speaker you could actually hear it. I'm going to pause the video. I want to see if I can just get one of those tones quickly. Okay, so I've got a dial-up modem sound file that I'm going to play back, and hopefully Zoom will in actual fact capture it. So I'm going to have to turn the volume up reasonably high, just to ensure that Zoom, because I'm doing this as a Zoom recording, will capture that sound. Now, let's just listen to that first, and then I'll go on. So here we go. Okay, so I actually hope it did capture that sound, and that is the typical dial-up modem going through a sequence, whatever. The relationship between that, those are digital tones that have been sent out, what was over the old copper telephone line. And when we start integrating digital modes with computers and radios, here's what happens. Picture this. You've got a software application running on your PC, regardless of what it is. I mentioned a few. Your PC has got speakers connected to it. When that software application sends out the information it would sound similar to what we just heard on the modem dialer. So PSK will have a particular format. CW, again, well, that will be the dots and the dashes. RTTY, different format. And so it goes on. FT8, different format. Different format of what we would hear coming out of our actual speakers. And that is the important part. Remember now, when we play music or a song or a video and there's a description being given, there's a voice sound that comes out of your speakers that you can hear. Why is that important? Because let's bring the radio back into the mix. Using some sort of patching device, Signal Link, for example, was one of the hardware devices that links a computer to a radio. What does it do? Well, it's just a bridge between the computer's microphone and speakers and the radio's microphone and speakers. So it's a crossover effect. And when the radio sound is sent out over Signal Link, the PC's microphone picks it up and it'll decode what it hears off of the radio. But when the PC sends out a sound via its speakers, that is injected into the microphone input of the radio. And then, of course, the software application has got a simple little, let's hit the PTT, and it does it electronically. Relays, transistors, whatever, just to pull up the PTT on the radio. Now, the computer has done no transmitting at all. It is the radio that will do the transmission, nothing else. So when that radio's PTT is pulled high, then whatever's input or injected into the microphone input will in actual fact go out of the antenna and is ready to be received by everybody else listening. And of course, if they've got a computer that is now linked to their radio, when their radio receives whatever's being sent, it will convert it and put it back into the PC. And that's all that a digital mode is. Why do I bring this up? Because a lot has been said about Echolink and digital modes. So what we need to do is have a very good look at what does Echolink in actual fact state under the FAQs on the echolink.org website. There's a question. Is Echolink a digital mode? No. Echolink is an extension of conventional voice modes, particularly FM, and Echolink communicates over the internet digitally, but does not transmit any digital signals over the air. So guys, please, ladies as well, Echolink is not a digital mode. To be quite honest with you, Echolink, for all intents and purposes, is voice over IP. And what that means is Echolink on the PC picking up my speech from my microphone gets converted into binary, pure and simple binary, and gets transmitted over the internet or IP network as a combination of zeros and ones, and that's it in packets. It's a standard Ethernet communication between two different locations. So when my Echolink voice is converted to binary and sent out over the internet to the Echolink server, that Echolink server will have another PC with Echolink connected to it. It will know that I'm in actual fact wanting to go out on that particular node, and the signal, that the binary code will then be routed onward to the other node, where the other node takes the zeros and ones using the Echolink software, it'll decode it and put it back into ordinary voice sound that gets played out of the speaker. The link up between Echolink and the radio is identical to what I described earlier. Let me just take this call. Okay, so having concluded the telephone call now, let me come back to what happens with Echolink. Echolink again is going to output a voice sound over your speaker. That voice sound is injected into the radio, and of course Echolink will turn the radio into a transmit mode, and of course everything goes out that way. So the radio again is the one that does the physical transmission. It is not Echolink and it is not the PC. And Echolink doesn't actually inject a digital tone like the modem dial-up tones into the radio for transmission. It is just purely injecting straightforward voice, which is why this is voice over IP. The only time that the voice is converted into a digital type mode or binary, being the absolute base to all digital modes, is of course now over the internet itself. So I hope that clears that one up a little bit, guys. Rex, I know that we'll have to play this one back for you. Maybe you can listen to it and you can get a better understanding of what is going on there. But I do agree with you. The straightforward, let's use a microphone and a radio and an antenna to an antenna, radio, microphone, and a human being on the other side probably is the best thing. I know that everybody gives you a hard time about the digital mode, but I think they're also missing the point where you would like to keep it simple, stupid, and just have the human intervention without the computers. So there we go. And of course, the other thing is, as I said, the AWA did their broadcast on the 22nd, having the notifications on. Ray, you might think I'm whining or whinging or whatever, but that's not the case. Let's look at something quite clear and quite factual. The AWA on Saturday, the 22nd of January 2022, the entire broadcast was delayed for at least 7 minutes. I managed to get 2 minutes of the actual recording. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this off of my cell phone by the microphone to actually explain and to demonstrate why the notifications at Echolink are unwarranted, unnecessary, and are in actual fact interfering with overall communication. So let's listen to this.
Four, Lima, disconnected. Romeo, 4, Delta, Juliet, Lima, disconnected. Zulu, Sierra, 1, Echo, Zulu, disconnected. Zulu, Sierra, 6, Romeo, Alpha, Delta, disconnected. Zulu, 1, Alpha, Delta, Yankee, disconnected. Zulu, Lima, 1, Alpha, Delta, Tango, Zulu, Romeo, 4, Delta, Juliet. Lima, connected, Zulu, Lima, 1, Papa, Delta, Tango, connected, Zulu, Sierra, 1, Sierra, connected, Zulu, Sierra, 1, Papa, Delta, Yankee, Zulu, Sierra, 1, Delta, connected, Zulu, Sierra, 6, Romeo, Alpha, Delta.
Okay, and that was approximately a minute and a half that I managed. To in actual fact record, following 5 minutes of exactly that interference and interruption to their net. Nobody could transmit. The 700 repeater was on permanent transmit throughout all of that. And this is why I felt that we needed to clarify the difference between digital modes and Echolink, and also bring up the discussion, a factual point of view, that notifications on Echolink, whether CW beacons or so-and-so's connected, so-and-so's disconnected, is not needed, not warranted, and is in actual fact interfering with people's transmissions overall. I think it is rude. I make no excuses for that statement. That is quite simply factual from my perspective. And I feel that everybody that is running Echolink use it, but turn that garbage off at the end of the day. There we go. That's the end of my Echolink and digital modes. Have a good one. Cheers.